Major improvements are on the way when it comes to getting around Tyler. Good evening and thank you for joining us. Tonight, KLTV7's Emma Burns tells us how a $500,000 project will make it easier to access transit stops and Tyler City parks.
For many pedestrians in Tyler, getting to a bus stop can mean navigating broken, narrow, or no sidewalk. Now, the city of Tyler is moving forward with a plan to make that walk safer.
This year, we focused on access to and sidewalks that give access to city parks and to transit stops.
City of Tyler engineer Darren Jennings says a 2024 study identified 14 locations in need of upgrades. The project will include new pedestrian crossings, widening sidewalks, and filling in missing sections.
This will expand quality of life in just a way that pedestrians can get places much easier around town.
For riders who rely on the Tyler Transit, Jennings says one of the biggest priorities is making sure people can wait safely.
That was the biggest. We wanted people to be able to stand at a transit stop, not on concrete and not in just soil if possible.
In some spots, the safety concerns are hard to miss. And for one spot, less than 10 feet separates riders from a busy highway.
One place we're moving a transit stop from one side of a driveway in an apartment complex to the other side because on one side it's in the upstream of traffic.
A representative from Town Park Apartments tells us the transit stop is a major safety issue and they're looking forward to the upgrades. Emma Burns, KLTV 7 News.
And construction is expected to begin next month.